In today's world, one of the most cherished of values has been threatened, our sense of security. On September 11, 2001, the United States was attacked, which raised our awareness from the ongoing threats of terrorism. The government took action to protect the security concerns of travelers within our airway system, and the world soon adopted a plan to secure air passenger service. Now the governments of the world have recognized the next most likely point of terror attacks, and the area we are at most risk is the waterways and the shipping of containers. The global movement of goods is processed through a maze of steps that require precise coordination and mountains of paperwork. The world that we live in has developed technology to improve the quality of life and reduce the number of steps and empower individuals and companies to make more informed decisions while maintaining information integrity. However, the technology world has not successfully penetrated the transportation industry to drive out inefficiencies and provide collected data for faster and more accurate processing. Power2Ship has developed a core application that uses technology and the internet to collect information from trucking companies' use of their assets and prices for their capacity. Power2Ship has an interface tool for shippers to enter their shipments and dynamically see carriers' capacity. This information is displayed to the shipper in an instant for the purchase of real capacity while recording all of the transaction history for the carrier and the shipper. Power2Ship has focused our product offering on the movements of truckloads of goods within the domestic U.S. But the issue of homeland security and the security of the world's population is of much greater importance than just improving the truckload transportation economy. Power2Ship realized that there is an opportunity to combine some technologies that are available to build the ultimate security measure for transported goods. When goods are needed from one country to another country, the method involved in getting those goods from their origin to their destination involves many steps. The purchase order identifies the goods and the quantity being ordered and the provider who has the goods. The supplier generates a sales order to account for the sale of their goods and prepare them for shipment. A freight forwarder is hired to arrange for a carrier asset to go to the origin and have the goods loaded onto the container that was ordered to move the goods. The container is trucked to the seaport where the goods are loaded onto an ocean-going ship. After weeks at sea, the ship nears the port, and the freight forwarder on the receiving side lines up the carriers to move the containers to the end customer. Each step along the way, paper is generated to document what ownership has been exchanged by a captured signature. Unfortunately, there is no end-to-end visibility of the goods until all the documentation gets copied to the shipper, the carrier, and the receiver. This can be 6 to 8 weeks later. Add security regulations into the mix of shippers, carriers, and freight forwarders, and there are too many handoffs, signatures, and moves for anyone to keep up with in order to bill correctly. Forget about the ability to identify security risks before they happen. The real goal of security in regards to international freight movement is end-to-end visibility and accountability. We do not just want to deter a terrorist attack, we want to identify where the risk came from. To achieve the ultimate solution of security, we must develop a tool to generate a secure global tracking network and capture events in real time to assure accountability and unity in the effort. The United States government, in order to secure our nation and encourage companies to participate in the security protocols, have realized that they currently do not have the solution to provide for port security. The government has asked the supply and logistics professionals to determine how they can evaluate the security of shipments entering the U.S. Security ideas have been tried, but those offerings to date are too costly and do not provide a solution that can reach this desired effect, real security. The root cause of the problem is not that we have to inspect the containers. It is that we do not have the information to validate the security and/or ability to validate the contents of a locked container. Who should be held responsible for building the solution? Who is going to pay for it? And how big of a risk is it? In order to create the ideal solution, one must not only address all the security concerns, but also address how to achieve a cost-benefit and not a financial burden. The way to achieve this level of security and provide business benefits is to build a network of transportation assets that are equipped to communicate the data of asset utilization wirelessly, as well as collected information from the goods they are moving. The collection of signatures and GPS coordinates, now in an electronic format, can be used and reused throughout the supply chain. Power2Ship's global solution has three main components. 1. Determine the contents of the sealed container at or before the port of origin, and create an automated method of assuring the integrity of the shipping unit without disrupting the economy. 2. Ships moving cargo containers equipped with a radio frequency collection device, transmitting location and contents information while in transit. 3. Trucking companies' assets tracked with a GPS and PDA device, equipped with driver fingerprint validation, working with an asset optimization tool, predicts and pre-sells future availability of carriers' assets, and identifies the asset's scheduled movements over the highways within defined geofencing paths. The simple philosophy of the Power2Ship system is based on the fact that if you knew where every truck, driver, trailer, and load was located, you could find the lowest priced, most qualified driver, tractor, trailer to move shipments. This would drive trucking company efficiency and reduce shipper costs. In order to verify security of a sealed container and validate its contents, one would need X-ray vision, which has been developed but carries a very healthy price tag. To validate the contents of the container and see what's inside of it requires the capability to chemically identify readings from an air sample to determine a profile of the air inside the sealed container. This device can detect harmful or dangerous traces and communicate undesirable results as an electronic alert for defined notification and intervention. Therefore, if tracking the trucks finds capacity nearest to the shipper's origin, and that same GPS PDA driver can validate the goods being loaded into the empty container by an electronic signature capture, the GPS-tracked truck then goes towards the port, predicting the time of arrival, while transmitting the sensor readings as well as the GPS location. The resulting electronic data transmits through the satellite communication network the security and location information. The global tracking network would now know where it is and what's inside of the container. The loading of the container onto the ship can be captured by an RF collection device mounted on the ship, detecting the container's signal and transmitting that signal as part of the ship during its transit across the ocean. The ship is being tracked by satellites to determine its location, and the data for the entire shipment is now located in one place for all parties to view through the secure global tracking network. As the ship approaches the harbor, the information and the GPS coordinates have been monitored across the ocean, pre-notifying the transportation assets of their next scheduled shipment based on their availability. The GPS-tracked truck driver trailer with a signature capture device is summoned to pick up its next load and directed to the location for the next shipment. The container signal is read by the asset management tool connected to the driver tractor and transmitted through the wireless network back to the database, giving complete visibility to the shipper, all the carriers, and more specifically, the security of the global tracking network. Power2Ship knows the pieces of the puzzle and wants to be the company to build the network to support the global logistics initiatives. We have the relationship with the sensor technology companies and wide area networks in order to construct the database and orchestrate the development of the end-to-end solution. Power2Ship invites you to participate in spearheading this initiative for all of our citizens' sense of security and safety. Let's commit to provide the world a greater sense of security.